used in the nausea and the vomiting. So till now we are able to discuss introduction of the nausea and the vomiting, and physiology of the occurrence of the nausea and the vomiting, classification of the drugs which are used for the nausea and the vomiting. Among the classification, we are able to discuss about the anti-dopaminergic drugs, their mechanism of action, their indication, their adverse effects, antihistaminic drugs, again their mechanism of action, their indications, adverse effects, and same for the serotonin receptor antagonist, anticholinergic drugs, and some miscellaneous drugs like the benzodiazepam and the dexamethasone. So these are the drugs. They act by directly inhibiting the stimulation of the receptors which are present in the chemoreceptor trigger zone and the vomiting center, as well as the receptors present in the vestibulocochlear apparatus, respectively. Okay. So today we will discuss on the drugs which are also used for the treatment of the nausea and the vomiting, but they do not act by inhibition of the receptors which are present in the vomiting centers and the chemoreceptor trigger zone. Rather, they act peripherally in the GIT tract, and those drugs are called the prokinetics drugs. Prokinetic drugs. So today's topic will be prokinetic drugs. So what do you mean by the prokinetic drugs? The prokinetic drugs are those drugs that stimulates the GIT motility. That means that stimulates the peristaltic movements of the GIT. That stimulates the peristaltic movement of the GIT. When there will be the increase in the peristaltic movements of the GIT, what will be there? That will speeds up the gastric impeding. That will speeds up the gastric impeding. That will make the food particles present in the stomach empty. So that's called the speed of the gastric emptying. Okay, so what will happen when there will be the speeding up of the gastric emptying? When there is speeding up of the gastric emptying, what will happen? The food particles, minimum or no food particles will be present in the stomach. So there will be the inhibition of the regurgitation of the food particles to the esophagus. So that will inhibit the nausea and the vomiting. So this is called the prokinetic drugs. So introduction of the prokinetic drugs. The introduction of the prokinetic drugs. I will repeat it again. Prokinetics. They are also called the prokinetics. In simple words, they are also called the prokinetics. They are so prokinetics are those drugs that stimulates the gastric impedance. So that stimulates the peristaltic movement of the GIT. Okay. So what will happen when the peristaltic movement of the GIT will be increased? There will be the speeding up of the gastric impeding. So minimum or the no food will be present in the stomach. So that what will happen? There will be the inhibition, or minimum there will be the inhibition of the regurgitation of the food to the retrograde direction, or we can say towards the esophagus. So what will happen? That will inhibit the nausea and the vomiting. That is called the prokinetic drugs. So according to you, so which mechanism will be responsible for the prokinetic drugs to increase the peristaltic movement? Which mechanism? Parasympathetic activity, no?
Yes, sir. Yes.
You know about the parasympathetic activity. All of you know about the parasympathetic. So what will happen in the parasympathetic? Enteric nervous system. You know about the enteric nervous system. So what will happen in the enteric nervous system? The enteric nervous system, release of the acetylcholine. Okay. So this enteric nervous system is a part of the autonomic nervous system. No? So what will happen? Release of the acetylcholine. Acetylcholine will be released. So acetylcholine will act on the muscarinic 3 receptors. Basically the muscarinic 3 receptors which are present in the GIT smooth muscles. So that will increase that causes the contraction of the GIT smooth muscle. When there will be increase in the contraction of the GIT smooth muscles, what will happen? Peristaltic movement will be increased. No, so our mechanism of prokinetics is totally depends upon the enteric nervous system of the autonomic nervous system. Okay, so what are the drugs that cause the So what are the prokinetic agents? So prokinetic agents: cisapride, mozapride, metoclopramide, and the domperidone. At least remember 4 drugs: cisapride, mozapride, metoclopramide, and the domperidone. Okay, I will repeat it again: cisapride, mozapride, metoclopramide, and the domperidone. Okay, metoclopramide and the domperidone. We have discussed these drugs also under the classification dopamine 2 receptor antagonist. Okay, so metoclopramide and the domperidone, the mechanism of action is centrally blocks the dopamine 2 receptor in to prevent the nausea and the vomiting are like that. They centrally blocks the dopamine 2 receptor present in the chemoreceptor trigger zone, as well as they also inhibits they also provides the prokinetic action. They also provide the prokinetic action. How they provide the prokinetic action, we will discuss in the coming topic. Okay, this is the introduction of the prokinetic drugs. The drugs that comes under this are the cisapride, mozapride, metoclopramide, and the domperidone. Okay, tegaserod is the newer drug. Okay, if it is difficult to remember the name of the drug, at least remember the four drugs: cisapride, mozapride, metoclopramide, and the. Okay, so I was not able to find out the particular image describe the physiology of the gut mortality. I think that this part is covered. I think this part is covered in the. This part might have been covered in the physiology, gut motility, mechanism of the gut motility. So that belongs to the enteric nervous system. Okay, we know that the acetylcholine and the acetylcholine and the acetylcholine. Okay, it is like that. Okay, what will happen initially? I will try to make it simplify. So initially, stimulation of the GIT tract. What will be the stimulus to initiate the peristaltic movement? That is the stimulation of the GIT tract. GIT stimulation of the GIT. So what will happen? What are the stimulus for? What are the stimuli for the GIT? Taking the food, taking the meal. Okay, exposure to the drug irritation, infection with the infection of the GIT. These are the stimuli. Got distension of the GIT. So what will happen? So when this stimuli will be there, so there will be the. So what will happen when the stimuli are there? There will be the release of the. There will be the release of the serotonin. Serotonin. What is the serotonin? Serotonin 5-hydroxytryptamine from the enterochromaffin-like cell. There will be the release of the serotonin from the that is called the 5-hydroxytryptamine from the enterochromaffin-like cells. Okay. Now this serotonin, which is released from the enterochromaffin-like cell, they will bind to their respective receptors, which are present in the cholinergic neurons, enteric nervous system. No, so enteric nervous system, enteric neurons, the neurons of the enteric nervous system also present in the GIT. So the neurons are present in the GIT. So they will bind this serotonin will bind to the serotonin will bind to the their respective receptors, which are present in the neurons of the enteric nervous system within the GIT. So there are the two receptors. One receptor is the serotonin 3 receptor, and one receptor is the serotonin 4 receptor. Now, serotonin 4 receptor, they are the excitatory, they are present in the excitatory interneurons. And the serotonin 3 receptors, they are present in the inhibitory interneurons, which is present in the which are present in the neurons of the enteric nervous system. So what will happen when the serotonin bind to the serotonin 4 receptor, which are present in the excitatory neurons? What will be the result? The result will be the release of the acetylcholine. The result will be the release of the acetylcholine. So acetylcholine will be released, and the acetylcholine as a neurotransmitter, that acetylcholine will bind to the muscarinic receptors, will bind to the muscarinic 3 receptors, which are present in the GIT smooth muscles. So what will happen when this muscarinic are stimulated? When this acetylcholine acts on the muscarinic 3 receptor, that causes the contraction of the GIT smooth muscles. So when there is a contraction of the GIT smooth muscle, that will increases the peristaltic movement. When the peristaltic movement will be increased, there will be the speeding up of the gastric. There will be speeding up of the gastric emptying. So that reduces the nausea and the vomiting. I will repeat it again. What will happen? Stimuli like the presence of the food, taking the food or meal, presence of the food within the GIT, exposure of the GIT by drug, infection of the GIT, distension of the GIT. What will happen? There will be the release of the serotonin. There will be the release of the serotonin. That is the 5-hydroxytryptamine from the enterochromaffin-like cells present in the GIT. Now this 5-hydroxytryptamine, they bind to the respective receptors. The respective receptors are the serotonin 3 receptor and the serotonin 4 receptor. So serotonin 4 receptor are present in the excitatory interneurons of the enteric nervous system, while the serotonin 3 receptors, they are present in the inhibitory neurons of the enteric nervous system. So when the serotonin bind to this serotonin 4 receptors, so what will be happen? There will be the release of the acetylcholine. Acetylcholine will bind to the muscarinic 3 receptor present in the GIT smooth muscles. So that will increases that causes the contraction of the GIT smooth muscles. So when there is a contraction of the GIT smooth muscle, that increases the peristaltic movement. So when the peristaltic movement will be increased, gastric impeding will be increased. When the gastric impeding will be increased, what will happen? There will be the inhibition of the regurgitation of the food towards the esophagus. So that will reduce the nausea and the vomiting. That means when the agonist action, so agonist action on the serotonin 4 receptor will increases the peristaltic movement. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. Again, now, sometimes, okay. Also, 5-hydroxytryptamine. This is the physiology of the gut motility. Also, the serotonin 4 that binds to the serotonin 3 receptor. That is the 5-hydroxytryptamine 3 receptors, which are present in the inhibitory interneurons of the, cholinergic neurons, which are present in the enteric nervous system of the GIT. So, what will happen when the serotonin bind to this receptor? There will be the inhibition of the release of the acetylcholine. So when there is inhibition of the release of the acetylcholine, what will happen? When there is inhibition of the release of the acetylcholine, so there will be the inhibition of the binding of the acetylcholine to the muscarinic receptors. So there will be the inhibition of the contraction of the smooth muscles of the GIT, inhibition of the, that will lead to the inhibition of the peristaltic movement. So that reduces the gastric impeding. So what will happen? Agonist effect on the serotonin 4 receptor will increases the peristaltic movement. So agonist effect on the serotonin 3 receptor will reduces the peristaltic movement. Now, what is the role of the prokinetic agent? The role of the prokinetic agent here is that directly stimulates the agonist action of the serotonin 4 receptor and the antagonist effect on the serotonin 3 receptor. So prokinetic agents, they act by agonist effect on the serotonin 4 receptor. When there is the agonist effect on the serotonin 4 receptor, peristaltic movement will be increased. And the antagonist effect on the serotonin 3 receptor. When the agonist action of the serotonin 3 receptor will be there will be the opposing of the activity, like decrease in the peristaltic movement. Again, beside that, dopamine 2 receptors. There is also the other physiology for the gut motility, that is the dopamine 2 receptors. So what will happen? Dopamine 2 receptor. So dopamine act on the dopamine 2 receptors. Present in the presynaptic region of the cholinergic neurons, which are present in the enteric nervous system. Dopamine 2 receptor. Dopamine act on the dopamine 2 receptors, which are present in the presynaptic region of the cholinergic neurons of the enteric nervous system. So what will be the action? The action will be the acetylcholine. The action will be the inhibition of the release of the acetylcholine. So what will happen when there is the inhibition of the release of the acetylcholine? Peristaltic movement. So what will happen? Inhibition of the binding of the acetylcholine to the muscarinic receptor. So there will be the inhibition of the peristaltic movement. So other physiology for the gut mortality is the dopamine bind to the dopamine 2 receptor. The dopamine 2 receptor are located in the presynaptic region. So what will happen? The present in the presynaptic region. So that causes the inhibition of the release of the acetylcholine. When there is the inhibition of the release of the acetylcholine, what will happen? There will be the inhibition of the binding of the acetylcholine to the muscarinic receptor in the GIT smooth muscle. That causes the inhibition of the peristaltic movement. This is the third mechanism. For the gut motility. Okay. And the last mechanism for the gut motility is the motilin secretion of the hormone, that is called the motilin. Motilin is the polypeptide hormone which is secreted by the enterochromaffin-like cells of the duodenum and the jejunum, which is responsible for the upper GIT contractility movement, increase the lower esophageal sphincter tone, and stimulates the pepsin secretion. Okay, that is not important here. The important thing here is the stimulation of the agonist effect of the serotonin 4 receptor will increases the peristaltic movement. Okay, agonist action on the serotonin 3 receptor, that reduces the peristaltic movement. Agonist action on the dopamine 2 receptor present in the presynaptic region will reduces the peristaltic movement.
Yes,
Any confusion? Any one of you, please? Any confusion? This is the mechanism. It is a very important part. If you are able to understand this physiology of the gut motility, the mechanism of action is very much simple. Okay. So there are the three mechanisms. Stimulation of the, for the physiology of the gut motility, stimulation of the serotonin 4 receptor, that increases the peristaltic movement, stimulation of the serotonin 3 receptor, that reduces the peristaltic movement, and the stimulation of the dopamine 2 receptor present in the presynaptic presynaptic region that inhibits the release of the acetylcholine that reduces the peristaltic movement. Okay, and similarly the release of the morphine that increases the peristaltic movement. These are the four mechanisms. So what will be the mechanism? What will be the mechanism to prevent the nausea and the vomiting by the prokinetic agent? In brief, so we know that the agonist effect, when the prokinetic, when there is the agonist effect on the serotonin 4 receptor, peristaltic movement will be increased and the lower tone of the lower esophageal sphincter tone will be increased. So that reduces the nausea and the vomiting. Okay. Antagonist effect on the serotonin 3 receptor. We know that in physiology we have discussed that when there is the agonist effect on the serotonin 3 receptor, that reduces the peristaltic movement. Okay. But when there is the antagonist effect on the serotonin 3 receptor, so what will happen? That produces the opposite reaction. The opposite reaction is the increase in the peristaltic movement and the increase in the lower esophageal sphincter tone. Okay. And again, during this physiology, so this physiology of this gut motility, we have discussed that the agonist action of the dopamine 2 receptor will reduces the peristaltic movement. So when there is the antagonist effect on the dopamine 2 receptor, more acetylcholine will be released from the presynaptic region. So more acetylcholine will be bind to the muscarinic receptor that increases the peristaltic movement, that increases the lower esophageal sphincter tone. So overall effect will be the, so when there is the agonist effect on the serotonin 4 receptor, antagonist effect on the serotonin 3 receptor, and the antagonist effect on the dopamine 2 receptor, what will happen? The overall effect will be the increase in the peristaltic movement and the increase in the lower esophageal sphincter tone. When there is the increase in the peristaltic movement, the food will be traveled from GIT. There will be the increase in the gastric emptying. So lesser food or the minimum food or the no food will be present in the GIT tract, sorry, in the stomach, or there will be the increase in the tone of the lower esophageal sphincter. So there will be the inhibition of the regurgitation of the food from the stomach to the esophagus. So that what will happen? There will be the inhibition of the nausea and the vomiting. Now metoclopramide. Okay, prokinetic, the number one drug is the metoclopramide. Okay, antiemetic. We have learned so much about the metoclopramide. So one is the dopamine 2 receptor antagonist. We have already discussed about that in the anti-dopaminergic drug, and the other effect is the prokinetic effect. So what is the mechanism of action of the metoclopramide as a prokinetic agent? That activates an agonist effect on the serotonin 4 receptors, which are present in the cholinergic neurons present in the enteric nervous system. Okay, so they activates the serotonin 4 receptor. When there is activation of the serotonin 4 receptor, what will happen? There will be the release of the acetylcholine. Okay, there will be the release of the acetylcholine from the cholinergic nerves, which is present in the GIT tract. So this acetylcholine from the mind plexus. Okay, from the acetylcholine. So when there is a release of the acetylcholine, so excessive acetylcholine will bind to the muscarinic receptor present on the smooth muscles. So that results the increase in the peristaltic movement and increase in the lower esophageal sphincter tone. That is the main mechanism. I will repeat it again. The mechanism of action of the metoclopramide is the agonist effect on the serotonin 4 receptor present in the excited interneurons, which enhances the release of the acetylcholine from the primary cholinergic neurons in the mind plexus. That increases the acetylcholine release, act on the muscarinic receptor present in the GIT smooth muscle. So that will increase the peristaltic movement and the increase in the lower esophageal sphincter tone. So that produces the prokinetic effect. Everything is simple now. Main effect is the agonist effect, and the other effect is the antagonist effect. So antagonist effect on the serotonin 3 receptor. Antagonist effect on the serotonin 3 receptor. So what is the so we know that during the physiology of the gut modality, we have discussed that the stimulation agonist effect on the serotonin 3 receptor of the cholinergic nerve will reduces the peristaltic movement. So what will be the role of the metoclopramide? Antagonist effect on the serotonin 3 receptor. When there is antagonist effect on the serotonin 3 receptor, what will happen? Increased release of the acetylcholine. That acts on the muscarinic 3 receptors that stimulates the peristaltic contraction of the GIT smooth muscle that increases the peristaltic movement or increases the lower esophageal sphincter tone of the lower esophageal sphincter. Antagonist effect on the serotonin 3 receptor. Similarly, dopamine 2 receptor antagonist. They act on the dopamine 2 receptor. The antagonist effect on the dopamine 2 receptor present in the presynaptic region will lead to the increased release of the acetylcholine. When the more acetylcholine will be released, what will happen? They will bind to the muscarinic receptors. So that causes the contraction of the GIT smooth muscle, that increases the peristalsis movement, and that increases the tone of the lower esophageal sphincter. Okay. So overall effect is what is the overall in brief? Mechanism of action, agonist effect. Agonist effect on the serotonin 4 receptor increases the peristaltic movement. Antagonist effect on the serotonin 3 receptor will increase the peristaltic movement, and the antagonist effect on the antagonist effect on the dopamine 2 receptor will also increases the peristaltic movement. Okay, indications of the metoclopramide. We have already discussed about it. Okay, indication: chemotherapy and the radiation induced vomiting. Chemotherapy and the radiation induced vomiting. Prokinetic effect also exerts the prokinetic effect as a prokinetic agent to accelerate the gastric emptying prior to the giving the emergency GA. I mean, what does it means that while this performing the surgery, while performing the surgeries, suppose surgery when the there are basically two types of the surgeries are performed: elective surgeries and the emergency surgeries. So during the elective surgeries, the patient is prepared for the surgeries 8 to 10 hours before. 8 to 10 hours before, the patient is prepared for the surgery 8 to 10 hours before, basically the 8 hours before. So during the preparation, he will be allowed, he will be advised to not take any food, do not take water, and do not take any food for the 8 hours. That is called the meal per oral. That is called the meal per oral. So what is the reason for not taking the food for 8 hours before the surgery? To prevent or to inhibit the intraoperative or the post-operative chances of the intraoperative and the post-operative nausea and the vomiting. Okay. So but sometimes what will happen? Emergency surgeries need to be performed. Emergency surgeries need to be performed. So those surgeries, when the patient come to the emergency, immediately surgeries need to be performed within the 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. But sometimes what will happen? The patient patient might have taken the food 2 or 3 hours before. So at that condition, we need to give the drugs that increases the peristaltic movement, that makes the stomach empty. So that is called the providing the prokinetic agent to accelerate the gastric emptying. So this drugs prokinetic agent is also used. Prokinetic agent is also used to accelerate the gastric emptying prior to giving the emergency general anesthesia in case of the patient has taken the food less than 4 hours. And other condition is the to relieve the diabetic associated gastric stasis. In diabetes, the one of the complication of the diabetes is it reduces the peristaltic movement. It reduces the peristaltic movement. So to increase the peristaltic movement, we need to give the prokinetic agent. Okay, and the gastroesophageal reflux disease. Gastroesophageal reflux disease. This is the disease. This is the disease in which there is the regurgitation of the food from the stomach to the esophagus. So to prevent that, we need to give the prokinetic agent. So what will happen? Prokinetic agent will increase the tone of the lower esophageal sphincter, and it also makes the stomach empty. So the chances of the food regurgitation of the food will be minimized. So for the treatment of the gastro indications of this metoclopramide, so chemotherapy or the radiation induced nausea and the vomiting. Okay, this metoclopramide is also used for the treatment of as a prokinetic agent to increase the gastric emptying, or to make the stomach empty during the emergency surgeries, so that to minimize the chances of the intraoperative or the postoperative nausea and the vomiting. Okay, and it is also used to relieve the diabetic associated gastric stasis. That means in diabetes, the one of the complication of it reduces the peristaltic movement of the GIT split muscle. So to increase the GIT split muscle peristaltic movement, these drugs can be given as a to relieve the diabetic associated gastric stasis, and the mild gastroesophageal reflux disease to inhibit the regurgitation of the food from the stomach to the esophagus. This is the indication of the metoclopramide. Okay, everything we have already discussed about this in the dopaminergic 2 reaction. This metoclopramide can process the blood-brain barrier, and they process the blood-brain barrier, and they are also able to block the dopamine receptor present in the central nervous system that can produce the extrapyramidal side effect. So extrapyramidal, when they destroy, when they blocks the dopamine receptor present in the central nervous system, what will happen? They produce the extrapyramidal side effects, which are characterized by the Parkinson's disease, acute dystonia, and the akathisia. When Parkinson's disease is characterized by the muscle tremor and the rigidity, that is because of the depletion of the dopamine present in the basal ganglia. Acute dystonia, acute dystonia means it is a repetitive involuntary muscle contraction. Repetitive, sustained, persistent, involuntary muscle contraction, and there is a purposeless muscle contraction, and the akathisia, that is the restlessness. Akathisia is the restlessness. Then we have already discussed about that. And the galactoria, means this metoclopramide can also block the dopamine 2 receptor that may lead to the increased prolactin secretion, increased prolactin secretion. That's called the galactoria. Okay, important thing is only the extrapyramidal side effects. Okay, extrapyramidal side effects. Another thing we have already discussed in dopaminergic 2 receptor antagonist about the side effects and the indications of the metoclopramide. Now, domperidone again as a prokinetic agent, similar to the metoclopramide. Mechanism of action is similar to the metoclopramide, but it doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier. That is the advantage of the domperidone over the. It's the advantage of the domperidone over the metoclopramide. Okay. So, what is the advantage of the metoclopramide? So, domperidone over the metoclopramide is the minimum or the no extrapyramidal side effects. So, they can actually in the question, what is the advantages of the domperidone over the metoclopramide is that the domperidone doesn't process or the minimum process of the blood-brain barrier that minimize the extrapyramidal side effect. That minimize the extrapyramidal side effect. I think everything is clear. We have already discussed about that domperidone and the metoclopramide. Only the important thing is the how domperidone and the metoclopramide they act as a prokinetic agent. That is the important thing. Is the other thing we have already discussed in the dopamine 2 receptor antagonist. Okay, indications. Indications of what? Okay, domperidone indications. Okay, same chemotherapy and the radiation induced emesis, and also this domperidone is also used. Okay, domperidone is okay. Indication of the domperidone chemotherapy and the radiation induced chemotherapy and the radiation induced nausea and the vomiting that we already discussed about it. And sometimes the levodopa and the bromocriptine, because the levodopa and the bromocriptine they are the dopamine 2 receptor agonists. They are the dopamine. Levodopa is the precursor of the dopamine, and the bromocriptine is the dopamine 2 receptor agonist. So sometimes, so what will happen? These drugs they crosses the blood-brain barrier, and they also blocks the dopamine receptor. They also blocks the dopamine receptor present in the chemoreceptor trigger zone. So that can induces the nausea and the vomiting. So that type of the nausea and the vomiting can be inhibited by giving the domperidone in the part, because this levodopa and the bromocriptine, these drugs are given for the treatment of the Parkinson's disease. Levodopa and the bromocriptine are the drugs that are given for the treatment of the Parkinson's disease. So what will happen? The Parkinson's, this levodopa and the bromocriptine, they are the dopamine 2 receptor agonists. Okay, so they crosses the blood-brain barrier, and they can also block. They are susceptible to block the dopamine 2 receptor present in the chemoreceptor trigger zone. That can result the nausea and the vomiting. So such type of the nausea and the vomiting produced by the levodopa and the bromocriptine can be inhibited by giving the domperidone. Okay. We will continue this remaining later on. Okay.
Sir.
We do not have that. Okay. Yes, please.
Sir, domperidone doesn't cross blood-brain barrier भन्नुभएको छ अनि फेरि levodopa र bromocriptine को चाहिँ कसरी
No. Some amount can cross भनेछ. Some amount भनेछ नि त.
Okay, sir.
It is like that, हैन. Domperidone ले हैन, it minimum or no amount भनेछ नि त, हैन र? Minimum or and domperidone भने हैन, minimum or some amount भनेछ नि त, हैन र? Minimum र some amount भनेछ नि त, हैन? त्यसमा चाहिँ है